All right, welcome everybody to a 1 hour rebellion. This is a edited video featuring Wombat and Doobs here. It was a 3.5 hour game cut down, so I'm going to kind of hop right back into it. You can see here that Doobs is starting with Mothma's temporary alliance, and I drew Yahtzee, I think. I've never actually drawn this before, and I've always wondered what I would do. So I have Lure to the dark side, and Planetary, and Mothma on Utapau. So I think what I'm going to do here is play Planetary with Vader, capture with Tag, and then Lure with the Emperor. Planetary should go off against Mothma as long as I don't roll 3 blanks. And then, you know, depending on, I guess, Riken's doing or Leia's doing loyalty. So it'll be 3v1. Then assuming I win that, I have a 4v1 to capture. And then I have a 10 plus 2 v7 or 8 or 10 or whatever to Lure. So it's a little risky because I have 2 rebel systems I need to cover. So I'm either going to give him a Moncal or a Speeder. But I've always wanted to draw that. So we'll see. I'm also going to be giving up maybe a assault carrier in Mustafar because he's got his troops in position to block that. But I think for a long time about whether or not to do it, and I'm going to try it. So this is putting me at risk for false orders. You know, and if he false orders, Vader's the one to false orders here, I suppose. But if you ever see this set up as rebels, that's generally bad news if the Empire is saying, okay, well, you can have a free Speeder or a free Moncal. But if this works, I'll block loyalty in Utapau with Planetary, and then block Moncal, and he'll get 0 Moncals. But false orders to the rescue, Vader goes away, and now I'm in trouble because with Tag on capture, I'm going to have to capture Leia here, and I'm going to have to do it right away. So Vader is going to have to be wasted. Instead of doing a Planetary, he's going to be wasted trying to block a gather intel. But the reason I need to do that is because assuming Riken's on sabotage, he'll stack that on Leia, and I don't want to waste my Lure. So I need to make sure he doesn't get 2 fist icons on there earlier than he needs to. So I need to win a 1v or a 4v1. Thankfully I rolled a 3. I don't think I do this if Leia has R2 on her or, you know, any of those things. So anyway, that worked out. Captured Leia. It cost me Vader and Tag. Alliance in Utapau, which makes sense. Lure. And then he's got to decide whether to add Dodonna to this or if Dodonna's just going to get Mustafar instead. And I think if I'm the rebels, I'm unlikely to win that role with Dodonna, so I think I most likely just block Mustafar instead. You know, the concern is that I guess Tarkin could liberate Mustafar, but it's much more important to subjugate Moncal. Okay, close but no cigar for the block. So now we have a Princess Leia as a kind of like a very expensive Mahdi first turn. But we'll see if this pays dividends down the road. Leia always causes me problems with blocking things. So being up a leader or 2 is nice, but, you know, more importantly, I think having him not have Leia will probably be more effective. I would have loved him to not have Mothma, then it would be exceptionally hard for him to build alliance. So all right, Tarkin covers Moncal. That gives him a Speeder for free. But in exchange for +1 leader for me, -1 leader for him, it's really like a 2 leader advantage. Okay, Ord and Cato, not great probes, but need to draw probes at some point anyway. Here's the other thing, too. With Leia in hand, gathering intel is going to become much easier to do. Now, he started with a not the maximum numbers in base, but pretty close to. So I'm thinking to myself here, I'm going to draw Krennic's Finest, because even though Cato's not a great probe by itself, it's a very common place to build alliance. So I go ahead and put Cato under the radar. All right. So I'm going to try to press my advantage a little bit with a capture with Krennic's Finest. And then I'm going to gather intel with Leia and rule by fear with Tarkin. That threatens R&D and will make his decision on what to sabotage a little bit harder. He's got Chirrut, who, spoiler alert, is going to be MVP this game. So keep an eye on him. So he's going to start with sabotaging Corellia. And you'll note, because there's no Leia, there's nobody back to block, right? So gathering intel is going to be kind of a freebie here. You'll also see I started with the Death Star in RotE. That's a different take for me. My idea was subjugate Bothawui and then I can laser it if I need to. Bothawui seems to be the place that I move to, subjugate, leave, it gets sabotaged, and then just haunts me all game. So I'm thinking the Bothans might just need to get lasered here this game. We will see. All right, Vader to Utapau. And then, again, because he doesn't have Leia back, my Rule by Fear and my Gather Intel will go off. So that seems good. All right, I'm a little bit wary of the Mustafar guys and how to get rid of them, but again, he doesn't have the leaders to move them, so I can kind of take my time getting there. Here come 2 probes for free, so that's nice. Early probes are a lot better than late probes because the fewer systems you've gone to, well, there's Naboo. the fewer systems you've gone to, the higher of a chance you have to grab a probe that you aren't on, which then makes that probe draw even more valuable. All right, we're going to go ahead and capture Chirrut here because I don't have a whole lot of better options for capturing. Finest rolls 3, Chirrut rolls a 2. Okay, well, so much for MVP. All right, so Chirrut's captured. Corellia's pretty vulnerable to getting rescued, so I'm not super hopeful to hold on to him, but like I said, I had the extra leader advantage. I didn't have a place I needed to subjugate. It's not a build turn, so it seems like a fine thing to do. I'm going to only move 1 Star Destroyer out here because with a sabotaged and loyal Corellia, I'm not sure why he built loyalty in Corellia, so I'm just feeling a little suspicious here. And then I have such an advantage right now with leaders. I'm going to play pretty conservative when it comes to blocking objectives is my idea. So rather than building Imperial loyalty, I take away loyalty in Mon Cal. And, yep. All right, so great missions. Hunt them down, Ozzel's mission, planetary. Just going to take a leader here, take Piet or Piet/Veers, and it'll depend kind of on what he draws. I already have a 3 strength ground hero, but I also have Fist, but I do have planetary. I wait to see what hero he draws. Really, the only hero that can bail him out right now is Chewbacca, which he gets. And there's no Falcon on Chewbacca, which means Chewbacca has a cancel any Fist icon mission. And I have 2 good ones right now. I have Hunt Them Down and Planetary. But luckily I already have a guy captured, so we'll see. Alright, with Chirrut captured and Leia turned to the dark side, there's only so much he can do for rescue. There's Chirrut's rescue and there's critical rescue, but critical rescue takes 3 intel to do, and he doesn't have a 3 intel leader. So we'll see. No torture missions, but good to keep Chirrut occupied here. There's probably, well, never mind. Won't matter. Okay, so rescued with the perfect Chirrut rescue mission, because if I block it, then the stormtrooper dies and he's free anyway. Honestly, I don't think I would mind that, but yeah, better to just let it go. I can always capture somebody later. So again, I'm going to get another free gather intel here because he doesn't have any heroes back. Very short on heroes, so 2 more. Kessel and Dagobah, there we go. That's better. And if I can keep drawing 2 or 3 probes a turn, that I'm just getting dividends paid on my Chewy on sabotage. Okay, fair. I'm just getting dividends on that lure. Okay, Vader's going to put Utapau out of its misery. A little bit light on troops here. If he uses the take them down card and rolls a crit, then I'm in trouble. So I think I have to use 501st here. Pretty sure. Nope. Come on. Use 501st Wombat. There you go. Okay. All right. He didn't use take them down, so that seems fair. Okay, Utapau's under control. I still need to get rid of Mustafar, but he's not moving him again. But if I get rid of Mustafar, then I also get an assault carrier build, which is nice. And he had just sabotaged Ord. So I'm getting 1 from Utapau right now. I could get a 2nd from Mustafar. And he's going to try to build Alliance there, which makes sense because Mothma did a rescue. So that capture of Chirrut was nice because that also basically allows me to block this loyalty. So he's only going to get the extra trooper from Ryloth, although I do at this point realize that Riken's probably on contingency plan, which means he's going to have another loyalty attempt. But my hope is that if he, and I'm going to address delays here to get a Star Destroyer, my hope is that he's going to see that the best option is probably to take Cato with the loyalty, and if he does that, then I have to choose between getting an assault carrier or blocking a speeder, and either of those is a win for him. And he'll likely take that over Bespin because he gets a starfighter too. Now, I am debating on whether or not to just attack Mustafar right now, but I decide not to because I want him to come to that conclusion, and then I can use my secret facility to subjugate Cato. Now, he thinks for a long time here, and I edit that out, and I'm sure Doobs is really good at getting into my head, and so I imagine he is predicting that I have secret facility in Cato right now, but he ends up just going for it because he's behind and he needs to take some chances here to catch up. So we shall see. Yep, Cato it is. Okay. So he takes Cato, and then I can safely attack Mustafar and use my secret facility in Cato. That's pretty devastating there to beat contingency plan with an action card like that. But it worked. So sometimes when you're picking your secret facility, you want to think about where your weak spots are. Like I have 1 assault carrier covering Cato, Bespin, and Mustafar. So anyway, I go after Mustafar. I clear it just barely. I have my assault carriers there. I actually debated on retreating back to Celeste, but decided it was okay to stay there. And then with my last move, going to go ahead and build a 3rd assault carrier in Toydaria. Now, I didn't move the Death Star because I think there's a reasonable chance the base is in Ryloth here. I think Ryloth would seem... Dathomir and Megiddo for probes. Ryloth seems like a bad base choice because the Death Star is in RotE, but it was also pretty obvious that the Death Star were to move to Bothui, and not unreasonable that it wanders its way down to Kessel eventually. Alright, so take a look at the probes. I have a lot in the middle, and yep. Alright, got Jabba with ambitions. I'm tempted to take Ozzel here for the probes, but I'm also drawing enough probes as is, so I want that leader advantage to stay in place permanently, barring confrontation. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty confident. It's turn 4. My address delays helped with getting Star Destroyers on the map. I'm going to double Death Star, or double bunker the Death Star. Again, I need to play conservative because I'm in the lead, and I need to just try to block objectives. So protect the Death Star. He did deploy 2 things in Ryloth, which to me actually feels like he's doing a rapid, not that he's planning on doing an attack. Ryloth is a safe place to deploy, and then he can play a rapid this turn and move his units back to the base. So a lot of the times if you're down like this in Rebels, the best thing to do is turtle up and try to make a stand. And then if you think that's what the Rebels are doing, you need to find a way as the Empire to probe the reaches of the galaxy without trying to get your capital ships in a corner. So where's the weak point on the map now? Maybe take a quick second and pause the video and assess it. My analysis is that my weak points are Endor and Hoth. He started with troops down there. I have 1 assault carrier for that region. 1 Star Destroyer is heading up to Ryloth. The Death Star sitting in place. I have another one in Toydaria and another in Ord Mantell. So Endor, Hoth, excuse me, are definitely the weak points. All right, so thinking about doing a capture, another address delay, some more gathering of intel. Now Chewie's back here, but I need to try to pull... Oh, interesting. Okay, Chirrut with a lead the strike team. So that's going to score a crippling blow if I let it go. I think about it for a long time and decide I can't risk Vader failing the block and then also getting confronted, because Chirrut's action card can do what it's doing right now, kill the 2 troops, and then Vader's auto-killed with confrontation. And I didn't want to risk a 3v2 failure on there. Hindsight, probably should have just gone for the block. Those are pretty good odds that I win that, but yeah. Vader's good, especially when I'm dealing with Chewbacca, so... Alright, so he kills the bunker, he scores crippling blow here, and frees Cato. That adds pressure on Celeste. That gives my assault carrier down there even less chance of being effective, and then the closest backup force is in Coruscant, so I've got some work to do to shore up that corner here. And so I play Gather Intel, which this was great for Doobs because it put him at 2 probes, and then he immediately plays base defenses to go back up to where 3 probes would have been useful. But yeah, good move. All right, Piet goes to Geonosis. Now I am worried about behind enemy lines with Cassian here. But I sort of realize it's just going to be what it's going to be. And like I said, I don't actually think he's in Ryloth, but if he is and he has behind enemy lines, he could kill Piet. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Dodonna with the stolen plans. No behind enemy lines. However, I'm going to play conservative, and, Ryloth is still a threat, so I'm going to go ahead and build an alliance in Geonosis with this move, I think. That makes that location loyal, which can't be hit by behind enemy lines. And he's not too close to scoring loyalty objectives right now. He's not close to scoring Huts or the 6 loyalty mission. He's only at 4. With Mothma's maybe 5. And with Cassian on Rapid, which makes sense because we knew we wanted to Rapid those guys. So I'll go ahead and address delays. I've got the Emperor to potentially block Mothma. So 2 address delays in back-to-back early turns is just, those are such great cards. Part of the reason why I really like the base deck. I have no Imperial loyalty on blue planets, but I do have 2... Star Destroyers on the queue. So I'm going to R&D, grab a Super Star Destroyer here, which is nice. So now I think my production is up to speed. I think to myself here, that I think he put Mothma in Ryloth with the idea of trying to pull my Star Destroyer out of position, because that feels like, hey, come capture Mothma, right? So I decide I'm not going to do that, and instead I just go for Alderaan to get into position to cover Kato. Maybe that assault carrier can hop over towards Endor if it needs to. It's also close enough to Dantooine. And then the Emperor's going to go to Bespin, because I need to check this corner of the galaxy before it gets too late. I'm going to leave the TIE Fighter in Mustafar and grab Dodonna. That Dodonna can serve as a bait. If he's in Hoth or Dagobah, then he can just attack out and free Dodonna. I have to beat Chewie here. Chewie rolls 3, Finest rolls 4. That feels good. Nope, never mind. Dodonna is not captured. Oh, and he scores No One Left Behind. So now he's got 2 objectives up. So now I'm starting to get nervous. I know that seems crazy to say. I've got a big leader advantage. We're only entering into turn 5. But with 2 objectives down, games usually end around turn 8 or so. So, we'll see. All right, 2 more probes. So I got Ryloth as a probe. That feels good. We know it's not Dagobah, and we just drew Yavin. So it really feels like Dantooine, Endor, Hoth. I don't think it would be Nal Hutta. Nal Hutta seems like the wrong play with the Death Star and RotE. And since this is the type of game it is, I draw Ozzel. So Ozzel with Catch Them by Surprise, probably the best action card in the game. We'll see if we use it and how we use it this game. So let's see here. I've got 2 assault carriers to deploy. I drew Detain, which is another great fist mission. A very underrated card. Might be the most underrated card in the game, actually. And I drew Trade Relations too. So I think for a long time about this deployment. I edited out like 10-minute breaks all over the place here because there were a lot of hard decisions that needed to be made. So I put an assault carrier and a tank in Bespin. And the reason that I thought about this so long is I really wanted to put that tank and that AT-AT in Geonosis because he drew Rebel Cell. And Rebel Cell in Ryloth is suspect because, there's so many things that can go wrong with that battle up there where I don't get it. So part of me wants to put the tank down there, but at the same time, I really need to check Endor, and if it's not Endor, I need to check Hoth because I need to get that base revealed. I also need to not let him score objectives. I do have planetary, so I think I end up deciding to put the tank in Bespin. The Death Star can always go after Ryloth if needed. I have planetary. I have Hunt Them Down. There's alternatives there. So priority at this point is finding the base. I also need to figure out what I'm going to do if the base is in Dantooine and what I'm going to do if the base is in Endor or Hoth. So Dantooine, I have 2 assault carriers I can move. Alderaan and Felucia to Mandalore. I can then move the Star Destroyer to Dantooine to Megiddo, or I can move the Star Destroyer to Mandalore and make a whole proper fleet, and then move that whole fleet to Mandalore. So I'm hoping this Gather Intel will work. He's got Cassian back to block, but he also has a lot of things for Cassian to do. So I plan on putting planetary down, and then I think I changed my mind. Although Chewie's on a mission here, it could be Subvert, but I don't think you'd put Chewbacca on Subvert if you still have his action card available. So I'm just going to keep drawing probes. I think he's down to 8 probes or something like that now. So we're going to build a super, get that on the queue, because I think I have just enough time to deploy that for the decisive move of the game. That's because if we assume the game's going to be turn 8 or 9, I think I can do it. And Chewie does plant explosives, which I did not consider and is an underrated card. So here's the problem. If I block it, then I'm not moving. So I just let him roll. He needs to roll 3 hits, and he does. And that kills the AT-AT, and now I have a problem because I have 1 trooper in Geonosis, and he's got 2 troops, and I did not play 2 loyalty objectives. So instead, I just say I'm just going to go about my business, check Endor, and turns out Endor is the base. So now here we go, Tarkin. Let's do a quick assessment of the base. Looks pretty big, 3 speeders and a shield bunker. And here's the thing, it's a remote base, which means he can't deploy there. So I just need to kill stuff. So I'm going to do a single black damage to a U-Wing, because that's how I can most affect his dice for the next round. So beating a rebel fleet, you have to do it in phases. You're never going to beat a rebel fleet. You're rarely going to beat a rebel fleet, even if you have a huge Imperial fleet on the first fight. So you just need to kind of wear out his combat cards, try to whittle his troops down slowly. This is a tougher decision. With his shield bunker, he picks up the shield bunker card, which means he's probably going to play that. So I have to damage the shield bunker with the ATST, and then I have to roll a hit, which I do, and another one on the troop. So he rolls a little bit early here. What he's supposed to do is decide if he wants to move the troop to the shield bunker before he rolls to see if he has heals, but that's okay. I've had a lot go my way, and I think he would have made that decision anyway. So, all right, he's got a troop and 3 speeders. I did get the shield bunker. He does have an ion cannon and a gigantic fleet. So I need to figure out how many moves I have left before I need to get to Endor, and with what resources I can bring to bear there. I have 3, 4, 5 capital ships on the queue, thanks to address delays. But he's going to have Bespin under control here shortly. So he kills me, I kill him. So I need to think about how I'm going to get to Endor, right? So I have to make a decision with the Death Star, is that coming or not? And then I have my Star Destroyers, and this is why you have to keep them central, right? So I can move Star Destroyers to Naboo, and then Celeste, and then Bespin, and then Endor. I also am attacking Cato here, and I think there's a couple of slight misplays maybe from the rebels here. My goal is I want to attack, not kill his troop, and then retreat to Celeste. So I want to do like a little hop over with this assault carrier. And I want to do that so I can get some sort of a fleet onto Celeste with my deployment. Again, you want to defeat the rebel fleet in phases, not in one big chunk if possible. So I play no heal, but then I change my mind and say play another card and play the tank card. He decides to play another card to block hits, which I'm happy about. Because I want him to block a hit, but I roll blanks, which is fine. He rolls a hit. I block that, which is Yahtzee. So then I'm going to retreat to Celeste with my 2 troops and my striker and my carrier, and leave my TIE fighter behind to blockade Cato. I think that's the best case scenario there. So now I can deploy my Star Destroyer and an assault carrier to Celeste. I have a pretty reasonable size fleet there, and I can get my backup fleets into Naboo and Malastare for a follow-up attack, maybe. So I'll start doing that, and then again need to be very conscious about trying to prevent Doobs from scoring objectives here, because we're definitely on a clock. Endor is a tough spot to get to. On the plus, and here's the hard part with Geonosis. I need to also get rid of Rebel Cell, but I also need that Star Destroyer, which means I need to leave that assault carrier behind and still not get... still have enough to take out... Ryloth next turn. So we'll see. All right, got a super on queue. So that's address delays, super Star Destroyer. If it's going to take my my fleet 1 to at least 3 turns, which puts us at turn 8. So I need to prevent Doobs from scoring 4 objectives. He's going to score 1 with Rebel Cell this turn, so he's going to have 3 more to go. And he's only holding on to 1 level 1 objective right now. So, okay, fair. At the moment, I don't need to worry about loyalty objectives. So I'm going to go ahead and put 1 more Star Destroyer on the queue for a Moncal build here. He's going to sabotage Bothoe. I think the goal here is to prevent me from building ATSTs, which I probably could have thought about that and cared more about ATST builds than Star Destroyer builds at this point, but he's still got 2 Moncals too, so I'm not... I don't know. With a super on there, I probably went after the wrong thing. I probably should have been working on my ATST production. You know, I could have grabbed... could have removed, I don't know, a couple of things I could have done. Could have gone after Ord, might have been the right move. All right, for probes, I draw Tatooine, which is nice. So now his under the radar could be Dantooine, Nalhutta, Malastair, Alderaan. Alderaan should not be subjugated right now, by the way. 4 more probes from Ozzel. So now he's got 4 probes left in the deck, and I'm going to draw 2 of them. So Bespin, Alderaan, Felucia, and Nalhutta. Okay. So his under the radar is probably Dantooine. I also realize I'm missing a probe here, and it's Naboo, because before I threw it out as a subjugated token, so we fixed that. And I'm going to draw 2 more here. So he's going to rapid and see what the 4 remaining cards are. But comes another big decision, what to move here. I think about this for a long time too, and decide to leave the striker behind with the assault carrier and the troop, and move the Star Destroyer to Naboo. All right, getting down to the wire here. You know, this game was nuts. This was a long game. So I moved this Star Destroyer out to Megiddo. The other move was the Assault Carrier to Mandalore, and then to Megiddo next turn, but I think that's okay. I wanted to just be cognizant of level 1 objectives, so trying to make sure my stuff isn't sabotaged or blockaded, or, you know, we got to watch out for support of the huts and things like that now. He's actually very close to scoring Defend the People. Defensive positions he tosses, so okay, fair. Okay, so he scores the Rebel Cell. I draw Moncal and Geo. Okay, next turn I'll have all the probes, whether or not I gather intel or do something else now. This feels like the turn to play Hunt Them Down. And I have 2 AT-ATs on the queue, which are nice because I'm going to need to deal with those speeders. 1 ATST and a handful of stuff to deploy. So this is a tough deployment round because he's got 4 speeders total, although they're in 2 different locations. Thankfully, no shield bunker anymore. And he's got 3 troops now up in Ryloth, and I only have 1 troop in Geonosis. And I'm still nervous about moving the Death Star because he's got the Nebulon and those starfighters in there, and I don't want the Death Star to pop. So I have to deploy my fleet into Salas to deal with those Moncals. And for a while, I think I'm going to put my ATST and troop in Megiddo to set up for Planetary. But I realize a tank and a troop are not going to be enough up in Ryloth, so I'm going to reallocate my ATST and troop up to Geonosis. That weakens my ability to launch a perfect planetary group, but Rebel Cell's got to be the priority here, so it has to be done. So we'll do that. Now that leaves me open to like an assault maybe is a problem, but if he assaults, I've got the ATST card and I might be able to pull that off still. Probably not. I mean, yeah, just got to hedge my bets a little bit. So I know I'm going to have trouble defeating 4 speeders with just a bunch of infantry and a couple of tanks, which is what I have down there right now, but I do have 2 AT-ATs to deploy. I don't know. We'll see. AT-ATs are nice because they roll 2 red dice, but they also don't have the ATST card, so it's not as good as others. So we'll see. I can. So my thought is I can planetary with a single AT-AT or an ATST and 2 troops from Bothawui, and I might planetary into Bespin, or I might planetary into the base, or I might planetary up into Ryloth. I also have a Hunt Them Down, which he's got Chewbacca back, so he's going to have to decide which fist mission he wants to block. I also have Carbonite, so maybe I try doing that too. It's like all these... Chewbacca's my nemesis this game, for sure. So we'll see, and I need to be cognizant of loyalty. So Detain is my secret weapon here, I think. So I put Tarkin on Detain for a little while I'm setting stuff up here, because I'm hoping he notices it, because Detain is an easy one to miss. So I think about it. I hope he sees Tarkin on a mission, and then I'm going to take Tarkin off Detain and put Tag back on it, in the hopes that he blocks something else. We'll see. And now I have the ability to sort of... He's got Chirrut and Chewbacca back, so we'll see. All right, he's going to open with an attack in Celeste, and he thought about this attack for a long time, too. So what do I do here? Do I play Piet's card? I think about that for a while, and the answer is no, I don't, because 2 troops are not enough to make a difference against speeders and Bespin. So he correctly ascertains that leaving the Y-Wing behind is the right thing to do, because he's already at 5 red dice and is more likely to flip the combat than play the Y-Wing card. And he needs to be careful. If I run a successful planetary in Bespin, then I can attack Celeste and retreat to Bespin if I combine that with Hunt Them Down. So we have a lot going on in our brains here. I think that's what he's... Like I said, we had like very long thinking breaks in this game here. So yes, we'll see. So anyway, I decide that I'm not going to play Piet's card, but I am going to play Piet because I want to try to survive this and inflict as much damage as I can. And I can always retreat to Mustafar because I'm deploying 2 AT-ATs, and if I retreat to Mustafar, then I can consolidate there, maybe move to Hoth, maybe move to Bespin, maybe, and then if I go to Hoth, then I can catch them by surprise with Ozzel. So I've got a lot of tools. I got the Emperor's card, I got Piet's card, I got Ozzel's card. I mean, really, I have a full Imperial arsenal, and it still feels like I'm going to be maybe within 1 turn of deciding factor in this game. All right, now what card to play? He's going to cancel mine probably, or play block hits, and I decide that I'm just going to block hits, and if he cancels it, he cancels it. He does not. So he blocks hits as well, probably because I sent Piet, and 8 red dice should be enough to kill him on Cal. If he doesn't block hits. If he does, it's going to be hard to do. And he flips the combat, which is the right move there. So I need to kill the Corvette, because otherwise the Corvette's going to cancel something next turn. And Piet whiffs. Oof, brutal. Alright. 3 rerolls, 1 crit. So 2 damage off of... 3 damage total. He rolls the same number of dice. I block 2 hits. He rolls 2 damage, 3 damage. All right, so I did 2, he did 3. Fair. The problem is he healed his. That's why flipping the combat is so powerful. So I don't kill anything, and he kills a assault carrier and a tie. My Star Destroyer is alive. If my Star Destroyer dies, I think I stay. But because it survived, I retreat to Mustafar and have another reasonably full fleet there. Now, what do you do here? Do you detain Dodonna now and then attack? I decide against doing that because if I do that, then he can just... If I detain Dodonna, he can block it, and then if I attack, he can retreat with the other leader. So I say, you know what? I decide on hunting them down into Ryloth, because if I hunt them down on the Corvette, again, he blocks it, and I have my detain problem, I think, or I'm going to need to deal with rolling against Chewie or something. So I decide to hunt them down in Ryloth, which I think puts him in the toughest position on whether or not to block or not. So it's kind of like I'm offering up a sacrifice. He says no. I don't think he's planning on holding Ryloth at this point. He does have a rogue squadron, which I can't afford to block because he plays it on a Star Destroyer. And that stinks because I think he's going to take my AT-AT and a tank. And unfortunately, that's what I need to break those speeders. So now, I don't love that. Okay, fine. We're going to go clean up Rebel Cell because I don't want to regret that later. And then for my combat card, because I'm so speeder dependent right now, this also means I kind of wasted my ATST up here. I need to think to myself, like, what card is not valuable if I'm attacking speeders? And I don't think about that, and I throw my cancel card away. So I say no card next turn for him. I don't kill him. Nope. Uh-oh. Well, this is why we hunt them down, I guess. Maybe that ATST is not a waste. All right. I should be doing what I can to guarantee a win here, but I do not. I flip the combat. And he needs to roll. He rolls a miss. I roll a hit. Okay. Well, we have Ryloth, we have Rebel Cell. Rebel Cell only scored 1, which is fine. He does not have Return of the Jedi because he doesn't have any level 3s, but he's getting to his level 3s now, so we'll see. He's got Chewie and Chirrut back, so I'm going to try to gain some loyalty. Do that. And at this point, I am just playing against Rebel loyalty at this point. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loyalty now. So sort of within uprising range. Yeah, just need to keep removing it, I think. He doesn't have contingency plan. He does have regional support or whatever that Mothma rote card is. So I'm going to go ahead and try to remove loyalty from Bespin. See if he blocks that. I think he'll block that with Chirrut. Nope, maybe not. Maybe Chirrut's got to stay around for attacking. I don't know. Yep. Okay, so sabotage. I think he decides on Celeste on this one because he knows I'm going to attack at some point and then doesn't want me to build there. And he also probably wants to see if Tag is on R&D or not at this point, because if he's on R&D, that's an easy, immediate play right afterwards because that passes over to him. So instead, I want to... Again, I'm trying to throw him off detain here because I think that's my secret weapon. Ideally, if I can attack, get him to retreat, and then detain somebody in Bespin, that would be a cool move. So I'm going to attack with the Emperor. I decide against playing his card here. here's why. I get the first retreat option, and I can just consolidate into Mustafar. So it'll depend on how this combat rolls goes. And I don't think I need him rolling 4 dice instead of 5. I don't think the black dice will matter that much. So I might lose a Star Destroyer here. I'm hopeful I'll kill something. I think flipping the combat is the right move here. Oh no, he's going to cancel. Yeah, he cancels. So I do 1 damage. That gives him a tough decision, and he thinks about it for a while, because if I decide to stay for a protracted fight, he doesn't want me playing a card next round. If he cancels this, then I might actually stay another round and play a no-heal. But he might retreat at that point, so I don't know. I think he correctly just cancels it and surmises that I'm going to retreat. So I managed to save my flip the combat card. That may come in handy later. All right, Emperor does slightly better than Piet. We have 3 hits so far. 4 hits. 4 hits on 8 reds and 5 blacks. That's got to be below average. Maybe not. 5 blacks should probably roll you a crit, and then 50% on 8 should roll 5 hits total, I think, so I roll 4. Similarly, his looks a little below average too. 1, 2, 3, 4 to 4. He kills a Star Destroyer. I guess I should have gone after a Moncal. I also had fighters to die, so I think he won that combat. But again, like I said, you got to defeat the Rebel fleet in chunks. And now he's out of good combat cards. However, I don't need him retreating and being out of position. So, let's see here. I retreat to Mustafar, and he has to stay in Celeste. So now that he's in Celeste, and I think so instead of passing, he places Chirrut in Utapau, and then I have to decide what to do next here. So I can cover Dantooine. I can move my troops I can move the Death Star. I decide to planetary, and I decide to do it on the base. And he instinctively wants to block it, and then I actually stop for a long time here. If you notice in the chat, he thinks back to Tag and says, God, what's worse? Is it worse if I get detained, or is it worse if I lose speeders? And he correctly surmises that it is detain. I was hoping that he saw Tarkin on there previously, but even if he did, if that's R&D, I play that now and make Chewie pass, which he hasn't formally passed yet, I don't think. So, I think he has a hard choice here. He might not realize that I don't have a full planetary force, but even if I do, taking that ion cannon out is rough, because I could send my AT-AT in, blow up the ion cannon, probably kill the speeder, and then he's got 2 speeders, and his space fleet is less because of that ion cannon. So I think that's probably the correct move. And then I do detain Riken. Maybe I should go for Dodonna, I don't know. But it's 1+2 versus 1 here. So I roll 3, which is perfect. Okay, so Riken's detained. And the reason why detain's so good is now that fleet is stuck in Celeste. So I have some choices. I can attack Bespin and deploy my AT-AT there. I'll have an AT-AT and an AT-ST and a whole gang of troops. Or I can totally bypass Bespin and just go to Hoth. And then if I go to Hoth, I can count on catch them by surprise before his troops can't get to Endor. right? Move everything to Hoth. Maybe he attacks, maybe he doesn't. He's not going to win the space combat there. Or I go to Bespin. So I don't know. I drew my last 2 probes. His under the radar is in Utapau, so I got to be a little bit cognizant of an escape to Utapau. Now, there's no plant false leads in the RotE deck, which is one of its biggest weaknesses, in my opinion. So I do not need to worry about him getting probes back out to be able to move the base to. He just has Utapau, and that's it. Okay, AT-AT and Mustafar, and then I debate on whether or not to put a Star Destroyer or a tank in Mustafar, and I decide that the right move is a tank. In thinking about this, watching this in the background, I do believe that so I'll fast forward a little bit here while I deploy. I end up attacking Bespin. And the reason I think I end up going for Bespin is there's a world where, maybe he attacks into Hoth, and I don't know. Maybe there's a world where he attacks into Hoth and plays some assaults, and then I want to be able to deploy, and I can't deploy onto Hoth. And I've got, 2 ATSTs potentially coming on the board next turn. Not sure. I end up going into Bespin, though. So I don't know if that's the right decision or the wrong decision, but it will very much affect the game here. Well, I won't tell you if it's the right or wrong decision, but I want you to think about that move here. Do you go into Bespin? Because his fleet can't attack me this turn, and next turn I can catch them by surprise into Endor if I need to. So what's the upside to attacking Bespin? I'm eliminating troops. You can see here he's got troops all over the map, and he's got 1 level 3 objective coming up, and he's got 2 level 2s in his hand right now. So am I worried about threatening the core? Am I worried about, man, I don't know. A lot of stuff here to think about. This game has, I think at this point, during this was not originally going to be an edited version, and at one point I make the comment, this game is sometimes fun for nobody to play, which is totally true. All right, so he sabotages Bespin again, correctly assuming I'm going to come to Bespin. I also have the Emperor card to play and Tag's card. So my thought here is I will attack into Bespin. I'll probably lose an AT-AT, but maybe I'll heal it, and I'll block hits with my tanks so that nothing else dies. And I think I can do that because if I move in with Tag, well, first off, I have the Striker card to eliminate the one dude, and then I have the Tank card, which I take. The Flip the Combat card, which I take, and I should be taking the Cancel card because I have a Striker here, but I do not. The correct move here is to play the Cancel card so that the maximum damage he can do is 2, which means he maybe kills a tank and a troop if he's lucky. That protects my AT-AT if I do it that way. But instead I do not, because I think I assume he's going to kill my Striker, but I don't know why I assume that, because I could heal it, and I do here. I'd have 6 dice to roll a heal, which chances are I'd roll a heal. So, all right. Well, anyway, I should be playing the Cancel card, but I'm playing the Tank card here. So he does 4 damage to the AT-AT, but I'm going to block his hits. And then we notice in a second here that I didn't move the dude to the trash, so I should have. All right, so I'm hoping for heals here, and really that's the wrong move. I should have just canceled that card. That would have been the right move, especially with the Striker alive. But that's okay, because I'll at least block the 2 hits probably. So I kill the. Yep. All right. No heals, but kill the Airspeeder, and he rolls double crits. Chirrut definitely MVPing so far. All right, so 2 crits is my ATST, which that feels really bad because now I have 6 troops and 2 tanks and no tank card and no troop card. Oof, in a sabotaged Bespin. Now I did play loyalty cards. I did play R&D, anticipating I might need to build on Bespin, but my hope was to build 2 ATSTs in Bespin and still have my at least 1 ATST, and he comes in with an assault with Chewie, so I have to block that with Finest. I can't afford to lose more than 1 troop here. He rolls 4. I roll 4, so no stormtroopers die, so that's good. Now I desperately need to get Bespin under control. Yeah, my hope was to deploy an ATST or 2 there, have an ATST left, and realistically I should have an AT-AT and ATST left, and then I could have caught them by surprise, and even though I'd only be rolling 1 reroll dice, have pretty good odds to kill those speeders, and he would not be able to attack before I could catch them by surprise. So I think that was my logic in going into Bespin. But if you remember from a couple videos ago, I think it's called Point Blank Assault, Bespin was also a killing ground for Imperial armor there too. All right, he's going to try to build alliance. I tried to capture and failed. I'm going to credit Chirrut for that too. And the Emperor's going to try to stop a build alliance here. So we'll see. It's 5 on something. Okay, I do block the build alliance, which is good. Whew. I have a rule by fear and trade negotiations, and I'll probably have to play them both, but I realize this is such an important move here, and he has Dodonna to block, that I actually have to just sacrifice Tarkin's entire movement to add 1 more dice to the pool here. There's nothing he can do mission-wise that boosts his ability to block my loyalty. So I just need to waste Tarkin and drop him there too. That gives me 4 dice. And had that Chirrut capture worked, I guess I have Vader too, that's 6 dice. Ooh, alright, so now he behind enemy lines is. And that's tough because these speeders are probably going to shred my dudes. And he has 2 level 2 objectives. Alright, that's okay. 3 speeders. I could roll 2 crits with my tanks. I mean, I should roll maybe... I should average 1, maybe 1.5 hits there, plus a combat card. I have a red damage card. That'd be 2. I should kill 1 speeder here. Ugh, man. I would love to have the tank card here. Imagine if... Yeah, that's alright. Alright, I'm going to play the Emperor's card because I'm kind of desperate right now. That weakens his speeders to 1 black and 2 red. So that improves my chances of killing a speeder and reduces his chances of shredding my army. So I play my weak card here because I don't have any interdictors on the queue. Kill his X-Wings. I don't know why he brought the X-Wing necessarily. Maybe... I don't know. I didn't think through that. Alright, so he kills my striker. Fair. Oh, that's why. He wanted to kill my striker. Maybe he didn't realize that I had already wasted my cancel card like a dummy. Okie dokie. Yeah, so here I need to do 1 red damage. I don't need to worry about that ion cannon, I don't think, at this point. So I'm going to do a red damage and hope to roll a crit and hope that he doesn't heal. I am going last, so he'll get to activate his heal first, but he's only got 2 red dice. So Yahtzee... Oh, nope, he flips the combat. Okay, so Yahtzee for him is going to be a heal and like a 2 hits of any variety. And then... good roll for me is going to be 2 crits, and then I'll stack them on the same thing. I have 3 rerolls, so I'm rolling 4 green dice and 6 black dice, so I think that should be 2 hits. Instead it's 0, and he rolls a heal and 2 crits. So that's going to wipe my... don't know, maybe you, yeah, I think you go for the tanks here. Okay, so that wasted the, well, I mean, I don't know if I wasted the Emperor's card. I saved myself 3 extra rolls, so I think that was probably still worth it. And I think for a long time here about what to do, and I decide to stay one more time, because I feel like with all that bad luck last time, I'll roll some crits this time. So I roll 1. Alright, so 2 damage on that speeder. He's rolling 3 now, though. Oof, rolls a heal again. Alright, at least he only rolls 1 hit this time. I can't stay. I can't stay, I have to retreat. And if I had Planetary and could pull that off, maybe, because then I could attack in, but I don't have Planetary anymore. I can't kill the Ion Cannon with any of my tricks. And I choose to leave a TIE Fighter here, which is a major mistake. Because by leaving a TIE Fighter here, he can attack in, theoretically, into Bespin from Celeste. If he manages to roll no black hits, he could then retreat to Endor. So, I remove loyalty from Kessel because I'm worried about support of the Hutts. Okay, he attacks Cato and clears Cato off, so he can now successfully build in Cato. I mean, that feels like he's planning something, but I'm a little tilted after that battle, so I'm not really thinking about things clearly at this point. So I retreat back to Mustafar. I remove loyalty from Kessel. Because I no longer need loyalty in Bespin now, right? Because I don't have any troops there. So I remove loyalty in Bothawi too. Okay, so now he's down to 1, 2, 3, 4 loyalty on the map. And he infiltrates. And I move to Corellia because now he's got a level 3 objective. And I'm not entirely sure what to do, but it feels like something's up to no good. And it might have something to do with Corellia. So I got to be careful of level 3 cards, including cards that win if you score 3 kills in space combat. Factory, which lets you build in, or lets you score an objective if you win a combat in a blue square. So if I move my assault carrier there, I actually have the option of ozzling out of Corellia to attack Cato or Celeste or Alderaan or whatever, to move my troop out of Corellia. Or if I don't do that, then at least I have an AT-AT defending, depending on how he deploys. I have a super to deploy, and I also did not clean up a second ATST build, so I only have 1 ATST to build. And then I need to decide, where do I put this Super Star Destroyer, and where do I put... what's the second unit I put in Mustafar? And I think I realized that it has to be a tank, because if he attacks Bespin and manages to retreat to Endor, then I have those 3 speeders to deal with again. And 1 ATST and 5 troops is not likely to defeat 3 speeders, so I think I have to put a tank on there. Now, I put a Star Destroyer in Coruscant because, again, it feels suspect, like he's up to something there. He did deploy a couple of units around there. He adjusts his deployment later, which is fine. I'm totally okay with that. He puts transport in 2 troops, or a transport in a troop in Cato, a troop in Alderaan. So now he's threatening to score outposts, which is 5 units all over the map. Yeah, lots of things going on there. Sometimes these late game matches are just, you have to think about so much stuff. So my saving grace here is definitely that I pulled bounty and don't have to do a traditional capture. there's several. I have to think about all the objectives he could have, because he's got 1 level 1, 1 level 2, 1 level 3. So maybe it's Raid Factory, maybe it's kill a Star Destroyer, maybe it's Death Star plans. I mean, so much. And I have to definitely move to Hoth, and then I have to rely on Ozzel's catch them by surprise from Hoth into the base. I also need to make sure he can't move to Utapau, which is the only probe left. So we've drawn all the probes. Yeah. So what do you do? What do you do here? I think the answer is you just try to do everything you can to make sure Carbon goes off, and he can't score 2 combat objectives here. So for example, if he pulls a retreat off and then plans the assault, kills a Star Destroyer, also raids a factory, that's bad news. Or maybe he plans the assault and kills... Yeah, actually it can't be 3. It can't be major victory plus... Yeah, so I think having a... Now he's already killed a Star Destroyer though, so that's probably not a thing. Alright. And then I could also run a backup capture, which might not be a terrible thing to do either. But I decide on needing some flexibility with leaders and don't run a backup capture. Alright, here's the start. Let's see what his first move is. He's got 2 leaders back to move. Jin and Toydaria is throwing me off a little bit. Makes me think there's definitely a loyalty play going on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loyalty on the... Or no. Yeah. 4 loyalty on the board. 5 loyalty on the board right now. Or no, 4 loyalty on the board, because I removed Ryloth, didn't I? Yeah, I think I removed Ryloth. Alright, he grabs Cassian and moves to Kashyyyk. Okay. That suggests maybe Rebel Outposts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 7 if he moves somebody with Riken, or... Because I can attack Alderaan, reduce that down to 6, and attack Cato, reduce that down to 5. Okay. Maybe also loyalty and Kashyyyk. Either way, killing Cato here protects me against Defend the People, because he could build loyalty in Bespin and then loyalty in Kashyyyk, and he'd have Defend the People. How embarrassing to lose this to Defend the People. Alright. We're going to go ahead and blow up this troop because I don't need the 501st for killing speeders. I am very paranoid about the retreat to Endor, but I think realistically I should feel confident in that, in 3 Star Destroyers and 3 Assault Carriers attacking a non-Akbar 3 Starfighter, 3 Capital Ship fleet. We'll see. Now, it's important not to give away what I have too early, especially if Chewie's on Subvert. Chewie is not on Subvert. He's on Wookiees. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 loyalty? 5 loyalty. So I gotta move to Hoth at some point here. There's no point to not do it now. And Ozzel's he's also my most important and also least important person, which probably surmises Ozzel's life, to tell you the truth. He probably is most important and least important all at the same time. Thematic that he and Piet are conducting operations, I think. Also, God, Bespin, man. So just rule of thumb, if you're ever playing Wombat, just put the base in Endor or Hoth and have fights in Bespin, and use Lando. Alright, let's see what else we got here. Alright, we got building an alliance in Kessel. Okay, if that were regional aid, I think I'd block it, maybe. But Chirrut could be on regional aid too, and that would be a tricky play. Alright, so the nice news about Mothma and Kessel is that's a great bounty target, and Chewie's not on Subvert, so I think I have this game with that maneuver, but we will see. Okay, I'm going to oversee my AT-AT, which that makes sense, because even if he retreats now, those 3 speeders are going to have a hard time winning that fight too, even against Ozzel, I think, because he doesn't have any Chirrut action cards or anything left. Chirrut with a Safe Haven. I did not predict Safe Haven here. So he obviously wants to do it, and I think it's because now with Safe Haven he can also score threaten the core, for God's sakes. Chirrut rolls a 4 and the Emperor rolls a 3. So Chirrut, MVP here, beats the Emperor on a Safe Haven and delivers troops out. So now he's got 3 plus the 2 Moncals and the Corvette, and that's important because I only have a tank and a Star Destroyer there. I could kill the Corvette, but then he still got 5. So, trouble. Should have deployed the Super into Coruscant, maybe. Piet's got to figure out what to do here. I'm a little irritated at myself, so I don't think this all the way through. I should be putting Leia on Mothma right now to hedge against my bounty not working. So my thoughts are I could move the Death Star to Jyn, but then that opens me up for Death Star plans, which I don't want to do. So I put Piet on Mothma, and there's no difference between him and Leia. And I know Dodonna's on Plan the Assault, which might be the Star Destroyer card, right? Like, he might be trying to kill a Star Destroyer with his 2 Y-Wings. And if he does that, I need Piet, not Leia, to defend there. So, little mistake on my part. But both Leia and Piet have the same chance to block. So I type, I move my troops over, but in chat I type that I want to block, which is fine. It's unlikely to work, but we'll see. And then Leia's got 2 versus Dodonna's 2. Leia rolls a 2 and Dodonna rolls a blank, so Plan the Assault does not work. We'll see if that matters here. I am now going to pull off a capture carbon, and I need to roll 3 plus 1 with Piet, so 4 dice and not roll a blank. I do not roll a blank, I roll a 1, so maybe Piet's MVP. And then carbon, I need to roll 5 dice and 2 greens. Take 1 away because Piet's not actually there, and not roll a blank. Alright, so I get carbon capture off. That means even if he scores an objective here, which he will, he cannot win because I have Ozzel to kill an ion cannon and 3 starfighters. And that is the game, folks. Let's take a look. I mean, I had lots of good cards here. So Dubes gave me everything I could handle with every card I could have wanted out of the deck, and barely pulled that off. Let's see what objectives he was trying to score here. He was playing around Retrieve the Plans, which makes sense because if I have Retrieve, I can get rid of 1 objective of his, but not 2. So Threaten the Core was his level 1. Loyalty was level 2, which didn't work because I removed a loyalty that turn, I think, and then Outpost. So he had everything he needed to do to win. I just needed to not be on Carbon and Bounty, which I was. So the Plan the Assault wouldn't have mattered actually one way or the other. So technically anyway, it's all good. It was a great game. Thank you guys for watching. Hoping to get more of these up here soon. Please like and subscribe if you have not done so already, and check out these videos here. I will see you guys for the next one.